Good morning, would you allow some to?
In our midst as special guest, the President of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, Mazi Sam Omabuwa, and I will also introduce our distinguished Prof. Cecilia Igbilu. Thank you for coming. And Chief Yetunde Murendia, Association of Lady Pharmacists Representative. You're welcome, ma'am. And Farm Aile Sheretawa. You're welcome, ma'am. We also have Clara Ayao representing the NAFDAC, National Association of Foods and Drug Administration and Control. You're very welcome, ma'am. And finally, I introduce distinguished chairman of the Academy Substance and Drug Abuse Committee, NAFAM chairman, the distinguished Dr. Lulu Ojo. Welcome. And I am pharmacist Rosemary Achikanu. I'm the secretary of the NAFAM committee. Thank you.
Association. Thank you very much, everyone. So we'll start. The President, sir. We can start.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great privilege to have in our midst the President of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, Mazi Sam Omabuwa. When I told him a few days ago, he said, "What do you want from me?" I said, "I want you to be at the press conference." And he's here. Please give him a round of applause. Since he took over, it has become a daily job for him. I'm not so much even have any other time to do any other thing again. So we really appreciate your coming. And you know, there are professors and there are professors. But again today we have in our midst a distinguished professor. Not the one that we are just using word, officially designated as distinguished professor of pharmacy, Professor Cecilia Igbilu. I'm saying this for you to know how important this subject is to us. For Madam to leave everything to join us in the press conference. The President cannot be seated and I will be the one talking. So before I read the address which I have here, I want to have brief remarks from the President, and after that from the distinguished Professor. President, sir.
Thank you, Lulu. Very distinguished colleagues here, especially those who are anchoring this program from the Academy of Pharmacy. Gentlemen of the press, I'd like to start with thanking God in line supporting my sister in the prayers she made. That God has granted us the privilege to be here today. And the media is an important arm of total governance of our nation. The media is always an asset and a partner in bringing enlightenment, bringing education, and setting agenda. Today, I'm sure the media is very much aware of the concern of the leaders of our country, and more importantly, members of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria and all the constituent groups, all the constituent groups, the Association of Community Pharmacies, Hospital Pharmacies, Industrial Pharmacies, Academic Pharmacies, and even our special organ, the Nigerian Academy of Pharmacy. We're all concerned about the growing menace of drug abuse in our country. I'm sure you know and you have read how this has escalated in the last couple of years. And there are two factors in my mind driving this. One is social-economic. There must be some socio-economic component that is making people look for how to escape reality. And they begin to abuse drugs, misuse drugs, drugs that are meant to heal. They begin to use it in a manner that it begins to kill and destroy. And as custodians of medicines and drugs, by our mandate, we will be the ones who are most concerned about this. because today Nigeria is talking about availability of small arms all over the country, and nobody is asking who is in charge, who is the one that ought to prevent people from having access to small arms. For us as pharmacists, we feel that it is part of our responsibility to ensure that drugs are not abused, they are not misused, and therefore when we begin to find that this is happening, our concern will be to say, why is this happening? Are we not doing our jobs very well? Is our position being subverted? Are drugs getting over our heads or under our feet to get to users without our intervention? Because every medicine that goes to every patient or every person that is consumed ought to pass through a pharmacist. That is the law. And therefore it's being misused or abused. Pharmacists normally should show primary concern. And that is why I am aware that other sections of our profession, including the young pharmacist group, have all done one activity or the other. But this, I think, is the ground, what you might call the apogee of all these efforts. The Academy of Pharmacy, and in conjunction with all the other groups, with the blessing of the Pharmacy Society of Nigeria, is putting up a major event to let Nigerians in the world know that Nigerian pharmacists are determined to work with government to bring this abuse either to complete halt or to minimize it to levels that it will no longer be causing too much concern. And to do this will require everybody's effort, including, more importantly, the media, because you have a strong role to enlighten people, to let Nigerians know, especially those who are in the habit of abusing drugs, that it is a dangerous thing to do. There's a temporary high, a temporary joy, but the damage and the depression is much more longer lasting and costing too much, not just to the health of the people, but their level of productivity and affecting the national ability to grow the economy. So I'd like to thank those who have put this program together, especially Dr. Lulujo's committee. I'd like to acknowledge the support and the permission of the president of the academy, Prince Julius Adelusi Adelui, and all the members of the executive of NAFAM, and for the support they've given to this project. We're hoping that with the efforts and the activities lined up, especially the forthcoming seminar summit, what do you call it? Symposium on this subject, Nigerians would come to have a better understanding of what to do, what strategies we have on ground, and the support that we need from all and sundry to bring this menace to a halt. I want to welcome you to Pharmacy House, and I believe that this conference will go well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Prof.
People from the chairman of Prince Julius Adelusi Adelui, we have been concerned about the menace of drug abuse. Most of you must have seen I think it was in the media last year or even before then, middle of last year or thereabout. And coming from the university background, I could tell you straight away that most of our young students, they have the problem. Drug abuse is, just arbitrary. You see somebody, taking a particular drug for no reason, and then becomes, dependent on such a drug, and that will affect ability or even the, work. You are welcome. We thank you for coming, and thank the chairman and the entire membership of the committee, and of course our host, our president. Thank you, sir.
would like to stand on the existing protocol. On behalf of the President, Prince Julius Adewale Adelusi Adeluye, OFR, MNI, a former Minister of Health, and the entire membership of the Nigeria Academy of Pharmacy, it gives me a great pleasure to welcome distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press to this very important gathering organized by the coalition set up by the Academy of Pharmacy, tagged Pharmacy United Against Drug Abuse, to highlight the ongoing effort by pharmacists and pharmacy institutions geared towards combating the menace of drug and substance abuse or use in Nigeria. The Nigeria Academy of Pharmacy is one of the 5 academies in Nigeria, others being academies of science, letters, engineering, and education. It was established in 2014 to provide thought and opinion leadership on all matters relating to the science, education, clinical engagement, industrial development, and the practice of pharmacy in Nigeria. The Academy has, within the few years of existence, made an impact felt and is uniquely positioned to bring scientific knowledge to bear on the policies stroke strategic direction of the country, with focus on the development and advancement of pharmaceutical sciences, technology, and innovation in Nigeria. The Academy is concerned that abuse of drugs and other substances has become widespread in recent times, particularly among the youthful population in Nigeria. The menace of drug abuse needs to be checked. Otherwise, it can impair all the efforts being made to put the nation on a higher political and economic pedestal. As a frontline stakeholder in this matter, the Academy has decided to mobilize all pharmaceutical professional, trade, and regulatory groups to come together and assist government efforts designed to eliminate the scourge from the society. Consequently, a committee was set up comprising of representatives of the Academy, Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, NAFDAC, Pharmacists Council of Nigeria, Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Group of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Association of Pharmaceutical Importers of Nigeria, API, Nigeria Representative of Overseas Manufacturing Companies, NIROFAM, Association of Community Pharmacists of Nigeria, ACPN, Association of Industrial Pharmacists of Nigeria, NAHIB, Association of Hospital Administrative Pharmacists of Nigeria, AHAPI, Nigerian Association of Pharmacists in Academia, NAPA, Association of Lady Pharmacists, HAPS, the Young Pharmacists Group, and the Board of Fellows of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria. I told my colleagues that if this were to be a football team, we will call it Pharmacy United. Together, we plan to do more work on the root cause analysis of drug abuse and provide information to government on remedies as it affects each age group. What we are doing goes beyond this conference, the work that we are going to have on Monday, and the symposium. We have a concept paper on all this. We don't just set up to start talking again. We really want to go in depth on why different age groups are actually engaged in drug use. Let me mention here that the current term or the current trend is not to use the word abuse. It's actually drug use or substance use. But we want to relate with you with what you know already. Then gradually all of us will change the term from abuse to use. Together, okay, I think I've got that. We also wish to collaborate with the federal government's Presidential Advisory Committee for the Elimination of Drug Abuse. And here, despite what we know about government's inability to rise up to the challenge most of the time, it is heartwarming and really glad to know that federal government has set up a committee on this, and under the chairmanship of General Buba Marua, whom we all know to be an action man. Nigerian Medical Association, Nigerian Police, NDLA, schools, youth groups, and other relevant interest groups to ensure that this scourge is eliminated from our society. In Nigeria, the statistics is staggering and unsavory for the population. In a 2018 report by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, and which is endorsed by the Nigerian erstwhile Minister of Health, I hope I'm correct to use that word, yeah. Former Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, and the Statistician General of the Federation, Dr. Yemi Kale, they actually signed that document, which means that it's not that somebody come from abroad to tell lies against us. That report showed that we have 10.6 million users of cannabis. That is the Indian hemp that is popularly called Igbo in Nigerian language parlance. We have 4.6 million users of pharmaceutical opioids. Some of these opioids, maybe during question and answer time, we talk about them. And these are the subject of Mrs. Ayahu's department. So they are most of the opioids are narcotics, which they look at. 238,000 amphetamine users. But get to know this. 1 out of every 5 users of drugs and opioids already dependent. That is, their life is dependent on them. There is physiological and physical dependence on drugs. We will have time to explain during your question. But what it means is that they can do anything unless they take this drug. And that is what is driving the craze. Looking for money anywhere, selling their properties, stealing and doing all sorts of things to get their hand on the drugs because already they are dependent on it. 1 out of every 3 cannabis users are already dependent. And they will look for it anywhere, everywhere, and pay any price for it. Little wonder you see that despite people being caught here and there, some other people are still involved in distribution. Why? Because they have users all over who are dependent on them. Overall, 14.4% of the population, and when you talk about 14.5%, it may look small. But when you now apply that 14.4% to the population of Nigeria, we are talking of 40.4 million people, aged between 15 and 64 years old, are drug users. And out of this, 1 out of every drug user is a woman. And that should be alarming to us. Women are the ones that are in charge of bringing up children. And 25% of all drug users in Nigeria are women. We can go on and on to recount these statistics to show the depth to which the nation has sunk in drug and substance use problem. There are unconfirmed reports that the age of use has gone down to 7 years or even slightly below, which means that the children in primary schools are already involved. And it's important that for you in the media to know this, because you need to inform, you need to talk about it, you need to shout on the rooftop, so that the people who are paid, who are expected to do things, they must do it. So many unconfirmed reports that we need to mention to you here. There was a report that in a school, the teacher or the principal just saw students lining up somewhere, moving here and there. By the time they find out what they were doing, they were sniffing the fire extinguisher. Oh yeah. They are not even just using drug alone. Now there's very funny things that they are doing, like going into pit toilet, using lizard excreta, or so many things that are happening right now. I was even told that most of the vegetable that you eat in some of these so-called restaurants are actually laden with weeds. Oh yes, and cake laden with cocaine. The country is really going so deep into drug and substance use problem. And it is important that we all work together to put this in front burner. We must not allow it to go down again, such that our leaders, our policymakers, our policy executors will forget about it. We wish to sound a note of warning that this challenge may even be much more than the current official estimates. We are unhappy with the figures that we are talking about, but the figures may be much more. That's the truth, given the fact that in our country, we don't have good statistics. That's the truth. So what has been reported possibly are the places that we are able to reach. What about those places that they have been unable to reach, given the massive land space that we have in Nigeria? And we will request that the nation should be aware of the iceberg phenomenon that this subject may present before us. We all know what the iceberg phenomenon is. When you see it, it's just the tip that you are seeing. The mass, the bulk is under the water that you are not seeing. So even this figure that we are talking about may just be the tip of the iceberg. The real thing may be deep, deep down. And the only way we can know, the only way we can touch it is for us to be consistent in whatever we are doing to get rid of it. It may not be too much to speculate that there is not one of our tertiary educational institutions, or even the primary and secondary one, that is free of drug users. Have you wondered why we have the case of suicide being very common nowadays? Yes, the economy may be down and whatever, but most of these suicide can actually be related to drug use. And it's important that those of you who are in the business of informing others know that we are really, really, really in a big mess as far as drug and substance use is concerned. There is practically, no, we will be deceiving ourselves to think or believe that the situation is limited in geography or age. Yes, we have some of the problem, a lot of the problem in the north, but it's not a northern problem. I want us to know this. It's not limited by geography. Virtually every part of the country is involved. You saw the video that was running around about one young girl, and see the way she was talking. You know, my boyfriend told me that I've been missing cocaine with your ego, and she was talking about it as if using cannabis is a normal set of life. And for a woman that is already in drug, are you sure that it's not putting that drug for a baby? And all sorts of things that we are having in the country today. So it's not limited by geography or age. It's not limited by social status. You actually find out that the children from the so-called wealthy home are the ones that are mostly involved in this matter of drug use. There is practically no major city in Nigeria that does not have hideouts or joints or clubs or ramshackles where the young ones gather to buy or use drugs of different description to feel good. Anyone can become a drug abuser, and current information indicates that all ethnicities, so it's not a Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa problem, all ethnicities, social groups, and gender can have drug abuse problem. It should be noted, however, that drug abuse is not a character flaw, but rather it is a medical condition that has developed over the time. We have been talking to schools. When you find a drug abuser, please stop rusticating them. They need help. They need rehabilitation. Because when you rusticate them, all you are doing is you are sending them back deep into substance and drug use. So yes, it is. We know that a lot of miscreants are involved, but it is not essentially a character flaw problem. It's a medical problem, and it develops over time, starting from the first stick of cigarette, the first bite of cannabis, then going into crack, amphetamine, and all the likes. Now, how did we get into this situation? What are the factors that is driving increased use of drugs and substances among our youth population? What do we have to do to eliminate drug and substance use in Nigeria? The answers to these questions and many others will be provided during the programs that we have mapped out to generate awareness, talk to the vulnerable, and hold a symposium to sample opinion of other stakeholders. Our activities, beginning from this conference, include 1. A 1,000-man sensitization and awareness walk to educate and inform the public. This we are already mobilizing, and we invite all of you. You will see my president there, see the distinguished professor there, and all we are saying is that, hey, this is a serious problem. Everybody needs to be involved. It's on Monday that we're going to do this between 8 and 9 a.m. And we start from Allen Avenue, Obafemi Awolowo Way Junction, roundabout, to Ikeja under the bridge. And you know Ikeja under the bridge, what it is like. So we are going to speak to them. Our speakers are ready under the direction of Chief Mrs. Morondia. Then there will be a symposium on Tuesday, 11 June 2019 at the Sheraton Hotel and Tower. This will be strictly under invitation because, you know, Sheraton has limited halls, so can't afford to have everybody in there. So there will be invitation, and those of you who have invitation card will be allowed to come in there. The theme of that symposium is Sustainable Approach to Eradication of Drug and Substance Abuse in Nigeria. And the emphasis here is on the word sustainable, because we don't want to do something now and tomorrow we are gone and it does not make any impact. The keynote address will be delivered by Dr. Martin Awuchi, who is the CEO of the Global Initiative on Substance Abuse. There will also be a panel discussion which will involve our dear president here, the president of NMA, the president of psychiatrists in Nigeria. We're actually working with the psychiatrists because they are the ones that see this case every day. And they are looking for help. They are looking for partners. And this is what I really want to let the media people know, that we need to partner on this because it's going to affect all of us. You know, the upsurge in crime, everybody, just go around now, you see, look at their faces. See how their pupils are already dilated. You know, it's because of drug. So if you feel unconcerned, those guys are going to stop you on the road. They are going to snatch your bag. They are going to do a lot of horrible things to you. So we're going to have the psychiatrists there and other stakeholders, somebody who has been victim before and who has recovered and has become an advocate right now. Dr. Mrs. Duri Awosika, one-time permanent secretary of Ministry of Power and Establishment, will be the moderator. The good news is that the First Lady, Her Excellency Ajia Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, has agreed to be our special guest of honor. And also our guest list include the former Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, and General Buba Marwa, the chairman of PASEDA. In concluding this, I will let everyone know that drug and substance use is a self-destructive indulgence that leads to significant problems and distress. It has suddenly assumed an alarming proportion among youth in Nigeria and could get worse if care is not taken. We must do something now to stem the tide before it brings calamity on our society, if it's not already here with us. Therefore, once again, on behalf of the Nigeria Academy of Pharmacy and the coalition forces, I hereby call on all Nigerians, media, and every relevant organization to join hands together to rid Nigeria of the menace of drug and substance abuse. Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
I think we can do more with the clapping. Thank you so very much. So at this point, we'll go to the questions and answers. So let's
Please, before you go ahead, please let's recognize the presence of Sir Ike Onyechi of Alpha Pharmacy, a member of the treasurer of Nigeria Academy of Pharmacy.
You're welcome.
I think you just come in here, you came in last night? He was out.
Good morning once again. My name is Abiola Ismail from my TV. We are worried concerning the rate of death that we are experiencing every day now. Just 2 days ago, yesterday, another SS1 student also killed herself using sniper and other substances. I want to ask this simple question: using what we use in the news room, the pipe that we use at each. The pipe that we use, help us to write our news very well and all that, because that's what guides us. I want to start with the last, the age. Sorry, I want to know, how do you regulate the sale of sniper? Sniper is a substance which I know you all know very well, and it is what
Sniper is
people are using now to their life. I want to know, is it the NAFDAC people, is it the pharmaceutical people, who do this? I want to know. I want to know who should sell these. Is it the chemist, the pharmacist? I understand that if you go to any pharmacist or any pharmacy, you want to buy a drug, they ask you who it is. A doctor is recommended to you before they sell it. But there are some chemists, even inside Molwe, you'll be seeing them selling all this drug. I want to know who should sell this. I want to know where should we get it. Why should we buy this? Only when we bring a paper from a doctor, a recognized doctor, before they can sell it to us. Because this substance is causing a lot of havoc to our economy right now. You see, that is why I put all these things into kind of use, the who, the what, the where, the when, and the why, and how do we regulate. See, thank you, sir.
I think
that we will be able to check the rate of drug abuse today in Nigeria.
Angela also, the Point newspaper. Months here, it has been a long, sir. We had a discussion with you too on the issue of drug abuse.
sorry, I didn't get
Angela also, the Point newspaper.
the point.
Yes. I must say, I don't know what can be done now differently to tackle this menace, because rising from our former engagement with you, you made us know to understand that the issue of access is a problem. And Doc here mentioned that there is a committee that has been instituted. I don't know if chaired by Boba Marwa. I don't know if the pharmacists are involved this time, because you said pharmacists are not at the middle of engagement in tackling the menace of the drug abuse in the country, except we control access and pharmacists are at the center. We keep having the same issue. So I don't know if things have been done differently or what to expect from this symposium on the 11th. Thank you.
Check drug distribution and to streamline it to who and how it gets circulated. But I don't know, the launching or the inauguration of that initiative has been suspended for some time. What and why is it suspended, and when is it supposed to take off? Thank you.
As NAFDAC is part of this committee, I want to ask, like a colleague of mine has said earlier, we have recent cases of the use of snipers, and we know NAFDAC are in charge of the regulations of, products and drugs and other use of products coming in. For example, this issue of insecticide and other products that have been used for this getting high or intoxicated. Is there a way they can regulate this? Is there a way we can make sure that these things are being brought down to, I don't know how to put it, balance, let's do pharmaceutical balance, so that people do not use it the other way around. So that's the question.
The question on sniper, but hey, sniper is meant for a purpose, to kill rats. So if the sorry, it's an insecticide. Okay, I even thought it's rat poison or something like that. Before now, it was gamalin 20 that they were using. I hope you know gamalin 20. So maybe that one is becoming more expensive, or it has become things of the past. So she will help us handle that. And I will talk about how do we check activities since it is now free for all. So much. Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen of the press, for your very incisive questions. And I can hear from your voices a very deep concern and some bit of exasperation. Well, let me make this clear first because I move on. And in my opening speech, I made it. I said there are two issues driving this abuse. First is socio-economic. Because without answering the question on snipers or whatever, if we continue to ban everything or restrict everything, then we might end up not even going to toilet. We can stop people from going to use toilet. There is a social, psychological, economic side, and I'm drawing attention to this all the time. If we do not address what has changed socially, economically, what has changed in the country, why are people trying to run away from reality? Because each time you use those substances, is to escape from reality. Is to escape from pain. So why are people doing that? Young people. So there must be a big study, social study of causative motivation for this deviant behavior.
So that is something, because if we don't take that into component, you can go and employ all the NTLA, all the military people, all the staff of NAFDAC, everybody, and yet new methods, new devices. Whoever thought that we were using snipers? Whoever thought that we were using Kamali? Whoever thought that we were going to sniff, what do you say?
Yes, the fire extinguisher.
Fire extinguisher. I mean, the list is just becoming, so there is something there's a trigger.
We're going to buy.
That's a trigger. So that's my general comment, and we must draw attention to that trigger. And you can only come to it by a proper study, not just people making remarks without understanding the social pressures that are driving this. Now, Angela, yeah, your issue is that what can be done differently. The question is, when I spoke with you, how many months ago? 3-4 months. It's a short time. To change system, to change practice, to change habit takes long time.
Yes.
And that's why Dr. Lulu spoke about sustainability. We can do these shows, we watch us on television, we make noise, and we'll go home, and nothing else happens, and we'll come back again. This time, I don't know where it will be. So sustainability is the issue. The move to reorganizing access to medicine is just beginning. We're just in the preliminaries, because it involves a whole looking at the system, from how drugs get into this country, and whether they are imported, whether they are produced locally, and how they are passing through the distribution channel, and how are we guarding this channel to avoid infiltration and unwrongful access. Let me start with drugs that are coming to the country. You know that for a long time, NAFDAC was taken out of the ports. And so it became anything. You can fill a container, says tomato puree, that is tramadol, and those kind of regulated medicines. Even now with NAFDAC there, NAFDAC has limited span of control. NAFDAC can never cover our territory completely. Neither can they do it. So there are still gaps where drugs pass through them. There are borders where drugs are. People who do illegal business seldomly follow the normal routes. They don't follow people who smuggle. They travel at night, they follow wrong routes. And if they want to follow the normal route, they have stationed their agents who will clear the way for them. That's the way these illegal trades happen. So even when NAFDAC is situated in the border, in the few places they are allowed, people they might be seen, majority of people who are doing genuine business, the defiant will avoid NAFDAC and use other ways. But the important is that thank God we have NAFDAC there. So that's the first way to go. Secondly, is when the drugs arrive the country, when they are produced in the country. How do we get the drugs to the other people who are involved in the chain, distributors, retailers, and users? That system is presently not ring-fenced because of the presence of open markets, presence of illegal outlets. And these illegal outlets, because they are illegal, they are ab initio doing illegal business, and they became opportunities for illegal transactions. The open markets become a place where the good, the bad, and the ugly meet. The good, the bad, and ugly. Genuine manufacturers, the genuine importers, sell their drugs to their approved distributors licensed by PCM as distributors. But because of the flow, some of them flow back to the market. Indeed, the truth is that some of the people who are distributors, who have premises in the right places, if they buy the drugs, you send it to them in the right place, they move some into the open market. Now, government has found also that open market is a major problem. And they've determined that we must close this open market concept. If we don't close it, there's no way we can check both use and misuse, abuse, and all sorts of things, because access will continue and here you're not even only talking about the quality medicines. The falsified medicines are also routed through this market. So I take in the NDDG because that's part of the solution to the problem, to close those markets and set up a coordinated, controlled, regulated distribution mechanism, the NDDG. The guidelines we know, but they haven't begun to enforce them because there is a process required to establish the alternate coordinated wholesale centers. And I think government is also been looking at sustainability that we're speaking about. Because in the past, NAFDAC has gone to close the markets. After a while, the markets were open. And the truth is, if you close Idumota today, I give you 1 month, another market will open. Another market will open. It is the way things happen. So government has understood that, and that's why they say, now let's create a proper regulated market in quotes. Because people like to go to markets to buy things. There's market for electronics, there's market for clothing. So they also see medicines as a commodity. So they keep creating that opportunity. Government is now responding to the dynamics of the time to say, okay, let's create a coordinated market, a controlled market, where the activities of all those in drug distribution will be governed by NAFDAC and PCN. Entry into that market will be regulated, exit will be regulated. And pharmacists would then take control. Right now, pharmacists are not in control. They would then take control of drugs that come in and leave those wholesale centers. That will be the beginning of the change. Today, PCN and NAFDAC are so poorly resourced that they cannot sufficiently prevent deviant actors. You create police, you create NAFDAC, you create PCN because you assume that 90% of the people will follow the rule. Only 10% will be deviant, so they can deal with them. But where you have a high level of preponderance of deviance, no amount of policy will be effective. So that takes me finally to the comment that what do we need to do differently? What we need to do differently to tackle drug, Lulu says drug use. And we have to abuse. There's drug abuse. Drug abuse, because these drugs are those who use them. Yes. I mean, normally, something on prescription, so that is use. Anybody using it for other things is either misuse or abuse or disuse. So anyway, we are going to come to that definition. So let's use the one we know. Drug abuse. What do we need to do differently? Things we need to do differently as follows. 1, strengthen our regulatory agencies so that we can have a higher level of control, a higher level of supervision, and a higher level of checking misuse. And this is one reason why pharmacists in the last couple of months have been crying that we have the Pharmacists Council law, the new law, PCN law, which has been with the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which we had expected he would have signed before now. Because this will create more resources and expand the scope and the mandate of PCN so that they can take greater control and ensure that access is better managed. There are people who call themselves pharmaceutical chemists in Cross River, and they're selling everything. And they've taken PCN to court. And they keep telling them that the law we have now is called Pharmacists Council law. So it's only for controlling pharmacies. That anybody who is not a pharmacy should not be under their control. This is part of the thing the pharmacy law wants to cure, to make sure it's seen by all that it covers the entire spectrum of the pharmacy practice. That's what we're asking for. If that law is signed, then we have done something that can move us to the next level of control. And I've talked about thirdly is to give more resources to NAFDAC, give them opportunity to employ more inspectors, give them money to get the committee on the task forces to be effective, so that they can go around 36 states of Nigeria, 774 local governments, to enforce rules. We have rules, even as inadequate as they are, those rules do exist, but they are not being enforced. So first thing, strengthen the laws, provide additional resources. Thirdly, is for the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, working with regulatory agencies to hold pharmacists to account, which is one of the things I am prepared to do, because I'm not in the business of hiding my head under the table and pointing fingers at everyone. The pharmacists are the custodians of medicine. Anything that goes wrong with medicine, they must be interested. People must ask them. But you cannot ask them when that control is no longer exclusive. When other people have access to medicines without the authority of pharmacists, they've lost the control. So we must strengthen the laws, strengthen regulation, and provide additional resources. What is new? What is the new that must be done? What is new is that you journalists should not take this story and make it headline tomorrow, and then that's the end of the story. We go on to other things. We should put it in a sustainable manner. Every week we raise it. We ask what is going on. Farm PCM, what are you doing? PSM, what are you doing? NAFDA, what are you doing? Federal government, what are you doing? Marwas committee, what are you doing? What is the success you've accomplished? You've been appointed. Where are we going? Just like you asked that question. Let us ask this question, because as Lulu said, we can fight people when they carry guns and they have come to invade us from another country. But when you begin to live in houses and communities where those who will fight you don't know them, just because they've lost control of their senses, then you will find that our case has been worse. All over the world, many countries have passed through this stage, and they stood strongly on how to get it done or halted, and it has worked. Of course, two things must work hand in hand. First is this effort. Second is to create awareness. I was speaking over the weekend to young men. I went to a burial in my village, and I just walked over to go and ease myself, and I saw a group of young men. They were smoking in their hand, and they were not. When they saw me, they greeted me, "Man, said, how are you?" They were so relaxed. So I went somewhere and went to the toilet and came out. And I stopped by, I said, "Gentlemen, how are you?" They said, I said, "What is this that you're doing?" The same man said they're enjoying themselves. I began to preach to them. By the time I finished talking to them, I could see one or two felt that they were in the wrong place. I told them there's nothing wrong about just taking a puff. You take a puff of Indian hemp, a few things can make you feel better. I spoke about the issue of dependence, and then the deleterious effect on the system, and the destroying of the neurons and the brains, and like Lego, that they will become psychiatric cases if they continued on it, because that's the final consequence. I saw one or two people clean their buttocks and walk away. Now, it may not be possible for me to be speaking to everybody, but if all of us, parents, Frank Olise used to ask, before he read the news in those days, Newsline, "Parents, do you know where your children are? Mothers, fathers, do we know where our children are? Do we know what they are doing?" So, because part of the failure is the failure of parenthood. We're not parenting properly the way we were raised up. I'll come back from school, my father will search my bag. If he found a pencil which he didn't buy from me, he'll ask me, how did you get this pencil? But today, it's not an issue. We're too busy becoming trans parents.
That should be addressed, not the product. But regardless, NAFDAC is looking into it, because what we're trying to attack this in two ways. Creating awareness, that's where drug demand is coming in, drug demand reduction of NAFDAC. And at the same time, we have two directorates that will definitely play a role here. I'm talking about the veterinary directorate as well as the CER, that's chemical. Before we come into banning, because to be candid, it's very easy to ban. But when we ban, does it solve the problem? No, it doesn't. We still have curious minds, curious youth, children, youths, going into different things. I'm not sure if you're aware that your children are also getting high on urine. Do we ban that as well? There are different things that your children are getting high on. Recently we had cockroaches, burning cockroaches and getting high on cockroaches. I don't know whether we're going to ask NAFDAC to start picking cockroaches as well. But you see, what I'm trying to bring out to the fore here is that there is an underlying problem. And if we don't tackle the problem, we can continue banning and unbanning. It will not solve the problem. But yes, just as NAFDAC went into codeine, controlling codeine, banning it more or less. Sniper, if it's going, definitely as it's posing a problem now, we'll look into that authoritatively and do something about it. But we have to weigh the pros and the cons, of course. I hope that has answered the question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tony.
And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The problem we have with drug abuse and misuse is something that is taking a very big toll even outside Nigeria. Last year in Glasgow, during the International Conference of Pharmacists, the issue of drug abuse, abuse, and misuse took a very good place in the discussions there. Something fundamentally has gone wrong with our societies. So starting from our homes, as some of the earlier speakers have mentioned, let's start rebuilding from the home. My Bible says that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The society has broken loose in so many directions. Leadership has failed the people. Before now, the heaviness of the top, of the extent of expenditure on the leadership has never been as big as it is now. Most of the money is spent on the top echelon of the society. And so little goes down and trickles down to the younger ones. It's an unfair society. And what you budget for, you get. It's not just people committing embezzlement of huge sums of billions of naira and dollars and being set free just by their changing their political affiliations. When these type of things keep happening, we are deadening the society. We are killing the sensibility of the youths or the younger, less privileged ones. So what do you get out of this? But again, if you see the extent of devastation, I'll give you a hint that this is also happening in many other places, and it's the failure of society to organize itself in a way that will be beneficial to all concerned. Thank you very much. as we start to rebuild our society.
I think we have a minute each for all our guests, so please let us
My senior colleagues, our guests today, gentlemen of the press. Actually, issues on drug abuse are very, very serious problems. Every now and then, I think that a pattern will not go, that pharmacists will not come together and talk on drug abuse. From my own personal view, the solution to drug abuse, hobby drug abuse, starts from the home, from the parents. As my chairman has said, because when an addict is hooked on drug abuse, getting out of it is almost, I don't say we should not write it off, but with many efforts and with the help of God, the addict can come round. But if we parents start from the home, from the very young age, to talk to our children on the problem of drug abuse, I think this one will go a long way to solve this problem. So I just want to appeal to the parents to take up their responsibilities and maybe be their children confidant, talk to them, share them, and of course give them word of advice about worldly affairs. This is my little contribution.
Thank you. 1 minute.
Distinguished members of this August event, President and Chairman, and all other protocols being observed. I that in as much as we are talking about parents, about schools, about but I think the approach that we have adopted now will go a longer way. It's not one person's problem. It has become such a hydra-headed issue that all hands have to be on deck. So I just want to continue to encourage us, everybody and anybody who has the opportunity to not hesitate to say something against drug abuse, drug misuse, substance abuse, or whatever name we want to call it. Starting from the youngest child to the oldest person, we should make it a song. Sing it everywhere you go. Drug abuse is dangerous. Just have one slogan, one sentence that you can say. And I'm sure it will start to sink down in the psyche of people. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Aileshere, 1 minute.
I want to stand on the existing protocol. I always say this: be your children's friend, so they don't have friends outside. When you are your children's friend, you tell them the correct thing. There's another thing when they say youths of these days, I always stand immediately to correct people. The youths of these days are offshoots of adults of yesterday. No, sorry, adults of today. If you hardly, from statistics, maybe my personal observation, you will hardly find a person smoking hemp if there is no person in the family that smokes cigarettes. It starts from there. You can only mentor your children if you are in your right senses too. You can tell your child, don't abuse drugs if you are not abusing drugs. Look at it. Abusing drug or substance starts from taking too much cola nuts because of the caffeine that is there. A lot of adults use these cola nuts as stimulants. Some take caffeine, coffee, go to many of these places of work, you see the executives taking cups and cups and cups of coffee. It's substance abuse. So this starts from somewhere. If we cannot mentor our young ones properly, then what are we talking about? The statistics says from 15 years to 65 years. That's a lot. You have to think in this country. A lot of us are abusing drugs without even knowing that we are abusing drugs. And like it is said, the family is the smallest unit in the society. When there is bad parenting, what do you expect? Wrong. So, like the president rightly said, we have to take care of the parenting of our children. Thank you very much.
The distinguished Professor Cecilia Guido, we have last word for us.
Thank you very much once again. I think I have to start by making a passionate appeal to His Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammad Buhari. So please kindly sign the bill, the Pharmacists Council bill, into law, because that will give a very effective control of the regular orthodox drugs and substances that are usually useful for maybe terminal patients and other people that will need it. Then coming closer home to what we have been saying, I just want to add, being a teacher, we should all be caregivers. Parents have left their children in our care. We have to have, some of these things starts with experimentation, curiosity. Maybe a child just follows one of the colleagues to birthday party that should not be, and they begin sniffing and, because there are things you may not control, as the NAFDAC representative said. So how do you control sniffing of gum, the glue, and so many other things that are used in the laboratory? You cannot control them. So it's for us to be, caregivers, journalists, neighbors, and parents. We parents at times, maybe because of economic, what's the word? Economic pressure. Yeah, pressure. You abandon the children very early in the morning. Father goes this way, the mother goes the other way. That should not be. You should be able to say, hand over to your relations, to your teachers. They will look, when I see a child maybe going into the lab using something, I will come close. I say, what are you doing? They may even confide in you than they confide in their parents. So they'll be able to nip it at the bud before they develop addiction, which will be very devastating. Some of them that have gone into that level, they are not able to cope with the academics anymore. We teach them also that when they entice you, don't follow them, consent them not. That's what the scriptures say. Those that can listen to some of us, we pull them and say, don't follow them, don't join them. But there are some that are hardened. Those ones we are not even giving up on them. We continue to follow them up and teach them and persuade them. I believe that with all concerted efforts, everybody, all hands on deck, this problem will be solved. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, dear guests. You've spoken well, you have done well by coming. We appreciate all of you. Before I hand over to Mazi for closing remarks, let me say this. We are dealing with a case that has already assumed an epidemic proportion. We are doing something about it. For us at the Academy, for all the parties involved in this particular exercise, one thing we can assure you is that this seminar, the work, the symposium will not be the end of our activities. But by July, the Association of Community Pharmacists, they are having their conference, and the team is still on drug and substance abuse. Please, as we go out from here, just look on the street. Look straight into the eyes of those boys that you've seen on the street. One thing you will notice about all of them is their dilated pupils. I said it here. It's their dilated pupils. And that's to tell you that this guy has been on drug for long. Because you will ask yourself, what do these drugs actually do? Let's talk about cocaine, for instance. It increases the force and the rate of contraction of the heart, making the heart to do more work. And this same drug will constrict the vessel so that the blood that the heart is pumping does not even have a place to pass through. So that increases the pressure, and it causes pupillary dilatation. The pupils are dilated and it can see much further than you. That is why you see, somebody said, he feels so high and can even feel the sky as if he's in the sky. It's because of this drug that they are taking. Finally, this is our responsibility. All of us. It's not for government alone. If the government is not going to follow you around, let us pull ourselves together to fight this scourge of the moment. Thank you very much. I hand over to Nancy for closing remarks.
Nigeria, let me thank the gentlemen of the media for coming to this program. Remember, we're here to forge a new level of partnership to be able to confront this scourge. Pharmacies are the center of drug misuse, drug abuse. But we know that even when things that are not necessarily called drugs, which are not being called substances, are being abused, we're also involved. Because at the end of the day, what's the definition of a drug? The definition of a drug is anything that you put into the system that changes the behavior of your biological system. Anything that you consume that changes the behavior. And if all these things we've spoken about that may not be classified as drugs as we know them are affecting our people and causing social dislocation, we are interested and want to be at the forefront. Pharmacists must always be wherever any issue related to drugs are being discussed. They must be at the center. They must be the fulcrum if that discussion will yield implementable results. Because at the end of the day, access to drugs is managed by pharmacists at hospital level, at community level, at other levels. And therefore, I am glad that the Academy is leading this fight to bring all the different segments of pharmacy into a unity to let the country and let the world know that we're dissatisfied, we're not happy about the situation, and that we are prepared to go any lengths to see that this problem is brought to control, manageable control. We're going to stay on it until we have empirical evidence that this epidemic, as Lulu called it, which it is, has become controlled. So thank you for coming. And as I said, let us speak about this while on the road, speak about it while in our homes, speak about it while sleeping and waking. And I know one day, God will hear prayers that are said, even without knowing their prayers, will answer Nigeria.
Amen.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here for us. We have seen the devastating and debilitating effects of drug abuse in our society, and how the misuse of drugs affect our youth and even our adults, in a very devastating manner. So I want to passionately appeal to His Excellency, the President and the Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, to kindly sign the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria bill into law, because that is to give a more effective control of some of the orthodox drugs and the drugs that affect the central nervous system, that ordinarily should be under strict control in this nation. It will not be in the hands of anybody apart from the pharmacists that have the, the training. Thank you so much.
Let's leave all pretenses. It's bad. That's the simple word. It's bad. Yes, even with the official statistics, it's bad. But what we're saying that it could be worse than what we have seen. When you are talking about 10.6 million users of drugs in Nigeria, that's a lot, especially for a population like ours. But like I said during the press conference, the case may even be much more than that, because we don't usually capture all of them as far as this country is concerned. The answer you simply is bad.
Well, how then can we control these? Because we are talking about control.
Well, it is an issue that we already have. So the very first thing that we do is halt. They say when you are in a hole, the very first thing that you do is stop digging. So the first thing that we need to do is halt. And how do we halt? One, this one that we are talking about, generating awareness, let people know, let these young ones know that trying to create an abnormal situation for themselves will not work. If you take drug and you think that will take away all the problem that you have, it will not work. And the trouble with drug is that, yes, it does that thing that you want it to do. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel high. But in the process, it damages your system. I've told you what cocaine does. It increases the force and rate of contraction of the heart. It constricts the blood vessels. So even when the heart is pumping more blood, the passage where the blood will flow is already constricted. So that is what you have, and that's why the pressure goes up. You can have cardiomyopathy, you can have high blood pressure, you can have the important thing is that they kill themselves as they go on and on. Then the other thing, why are they into drugs? They are not engaged. So we need to engage them. Just look at the street and see the number of people walking, roaming around without anything to do. So we need to engage them. We need to find them job. We need to find them an alternative path of engagement. For instance, football. When we were younger, we have football competition between secondary school. Here now, we don't have anything like that. So government need to create avenues, use sport as avenue to engage these children so that they will not be so free to get engaged in drug. Again, we need to limit access to the drugs. And that was why you heard the president talking about it. Our drug distribution system as of today is horrible. Government need to show interest. Mr. President need to show interest. Mr. Minister need to show interest. That is why they are here to govern us. Whoever has been put in authority should do the right thing. It is not just enough to hold offices. People should use their office to impact the society. And this is what we are talking about. Otherwise, they will not be able to stay in office anymore when everybody is now on drug.
Thank you.
Quite is a multi-sectoral approach. No single bullet will deal with this. So we need to act first in creating of awareness. Awareness must be created as to the dangers that we're facing, and possibly make it available to everybody, including young people. Put it in languages, put it in places that young people can see, in videos, in movies, in advertorials, in flyers. Let us know that this is a problem that can consume us. So enlightenment is number one, and all of us are involved. The media, the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, the government must take it seriously and invest money in the right things, not money in the wrong things. So that's enlightenment. Number two is access. Access is where we come in as pharmacists, because we are custodians of medicines. So any abuse or misuse of authorized medicines, like we talk about the tramadol of this world, the tramadol of this world, the codeines of this world, the amphetamines, they are approved drugs. They are drugs for specific indications. But people are using them now for either the side effect or the incidental effect. It's not for the therapeutic effect. So we as pharmacists are asking for two things. First, regulate the access to medicines so that those who see medicines as merely items of commerce and commodities for sale will not have access. Pharmacists today have a directive that if anybody comes to their shop to buy, medicine. They must know why he's buying it. What for? What you're buying it, is it related to your indication? The dose you want to buy is related to your indication? What's your prescription? And such questions. Do you understand the side effects? Do you understand the long-term effects? How long you're supposed to use this medicine? Pharmacists today are being mandated to make sure that nobody comes to their shop without getting that pharmaceutical care. Now, if you go outside the pharmacy shops, you can't get the same care. You just come and want something, they sell to you. Nobody tells you what it's used for. Nobody tells you the dangers. Nobody tells you the contraindications, how long you should use it, what to expect as side effects, and all that. It does not happen. And so people take medicines and begin to think they are taking food, and they become dependent. So this is what pharmacists are doing. They have received what we call Professional Excellency Advisory Notes from the PSN headquarters here to all pharmacists. It's become a mandatory thing. You must, they do it, it's not a part of the training, but sometimes some people are careless. Now we're saying you must do it. Nobody should walk into your shop and go away with medicines without cancelling. You must cancel the person. If the pharmacist is unable because of job pressure or too many customers, then he must train his pharmacy technicians and assistants to be able to do this. That is, any pharmacist that is no longer doing it, we're determined to sanction him. So that's what we're doing, to make sure that people don't inadvertently get themselves into trouble. Somebody comes to buy Tramol 2 packets. Why? Where's your prescription? What's your problem? What kind of pain are you going through? And say, you cannot give you more than this. This is the number I give you. And if you're not well after this number, go back to your doctor. That's what pharmacists ought to be doing. And that's what we're going to get them to do. Thirdly, it's like I said, to therefore stop all other people who do not have this ability to do this. So we must restrict the medicines that go to the patent medicine vendors. There must be medicines that we call serious, regarded as generally safe, the grass medicines, so that even if there is abuse, even if there is a misuse, the harm is limited. We need to do that. We have to close the open markets. That is what government is working out. Hopefully, as soon as this coordinated and controlled wholesale centers become operational, the open markets will be closed. Because first and foremost, it offends everything that we know to be buying medicine in markets. Exposed to heat, exposed to sun, exposed to climate, and other things that denature medicine. And what are that denature medicine? But people who shouldn't buy medicines, buy them. People who shouldn't sell medicines, sell them. So government must work hard. All of us put pressure on the sponsors and those who are building up the coordinated health centers to get them done quickly so that we can close these other markets and then have a regulated market. So that if you come into the market, we know your entitlement, your qualification. When you buy, we know whether you're qualified to buy. That's what we're doing then. Strengthen NAFDAC, strengthen PCN. And the major need for PCN is the pharmacy law, the new Pharmacy Council law that has been approved by the both houses, sent to the president, and we're persuading the president that if he wants to stop drug abuse, drug misuse, this is one law that must be put into effect. It was a law that took some time to be put together, and it will give strong support to the Pharmacy Council to be able to, Pharmacy Council to improve on control of access. And when we control access and enhance practice, then we can deal better with the issue of drug abuse or drug misuse.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
How bad is the situation, especially as it relates to abuse of opioids and drugs that fall under NAFDAC?
It's bad. I'm with the Drug Demand Reduction Division, and even from the survey, it has shown that immediately after cannabis, what you're having is abuse of pharmaceutical opioids. Now, these opioids, why it looks relatively easy to abuse, is because you can get them legally from any pharmacy for various reasons, for various pains. And now it's an analgesic mostly, you know. Some use them for anti-inflammatory purposes. You have swellings here and there. And the thing is, it still acts on your mind because if it's pain, you feel a lot of relief. And the next thing you see is you are now having your children and even the women who have personal problems going straight for that because of the reward action, this joy that they get, that relief of a certain pain. And that has become a new abuse. So it's really scary. And that's why, really, to be candid, there's some particularly antibiotics. You know, we need strict prescription, which is not what is happening in Nigeria here. And that's why the academy has gotten all the pharmacists and everybody together to start trying to enforce laws. That's why asking that please that our law be signed and put in place so that you will actually see work being done. The situation in Thailand is really very bad and we need to control it. So, yes, the opioid thing is a problem and we need to curb it. So I'm hoping that will happen.
Is there anything in particular NAFDAC is doing as regards to this?
No, NAFDAC is not supposed to control, it's PCN.
Yes,
okay.
I'm talking about maybe awareness. And
yes, awareness is where I'm coming from, the drug demand. We're creating awareness by going into schools, offices, homes, taxi parks, wherever, you know, we know that people use this. Even your drivers that abuse this, some out of ignorance, you know. We go out, we create awareness. So awareness is being created. And then we also we're working with PCN to ensure that when these drugs are actually shown to them and they are given out, they give to the patient according to his or her needs, not in an abusive manner.
Okay, I'll take you back to the sniper issue. You said something. I'd like for you to go over what you said before.
Yes.
Because we can't totally ban it, so what can we do in this situation?
Yes, the issue of sniper was brought up because currently we're having a lot of our youths taking their lives using snipers. And the question I asked is, if you tell us to ban snipers, are you going to ask us to ban insecticides? The truth about the matter, it is not the sniper that is the problem. It is the underlying cause that is pushing the child or the person to go for sniper. And the only way we can curb this is address the issue. What is it that is making a child? Don't forget that these snipers existed long before time. These drugs have always been available. But something is happening now that is causing people to abuse it more than what used to happen 20, 30 years ago. So that is what we should be addressing. Let's find out exactly what's happening. And that's why we're going into homes, families, because long time ago, families, it was a close-knit thing. Very difficult for your child to go wayward. Aside from the family, we're going into schools as well. Principals of schools, teachers should pay attention to your child. When a child is deviating or having a strange character, we should be able to report this to parents so that we know, we'll start nipping these things in the bud. Then you have offices where people come. These are where parents are coming from. They work there. The employers should pay attention to what's happening to their staff. So these are ways we're hitting, because when these people are not being listened to or not handled at the initial stage, they tend to go into